I caught my husband dating another girl, and he didn't pretend anymore. He came clean and asked for a divorce. The reason for the divorce was that I couldn't have children. He even accused me of cheating, trying to force me out and take all the property. I tried to reason with him, talked about the law, but he resorted to violence. He forgot that I'm a black belt in Taekwondo, both mentally and physically stronger than him. When Leo filed for divorce, he brought all his relatives to our house. They sat in the living room like a tribunal, as if they were about to pass a judgment. I asked, "What's the reason?" Leo couldn't even lift his head. He was tongue-tied. It was his mother who started shouting. What else could it be? You can't give birth to a child for our family, and you always fight with Leo. You are lucky we're divorcing you. We should sell you and make you suffer a bit. I looked around at these unfortunate relatives of his. Some were already whispering to each other, almost ready to shout everywhere that I wasn't staying faithful to the marriage. I've studied Taekwondo for a few years. It was meant for self-defense, but turned out to be quite handy after getting married. When we got married, my parents tried to warn me about Leo and his unreliable family. My mother-in-law was only after material gains, but I was so blindly in love with Leo, I couldn't see beyond his promises to me. On our 3rd wedding anniversary, I had planned a surprise dinner for Leo. I thought of calling him after work to come directly to the restaurant, but he arrived early, accompanied by one of my art students, Amy. They were so intimate, holding hands, and Amy in a fitting white dress, almost clinging to Leo's arm. Leo looked pleased, with a constant smirk on his face. He froze when he saw me and tried to avoid eye contact. His hands were fidgeting, unsure where to place them, and Amy attempted to hold his hand again, but Leo pulled away. Amy then turned serious. "Leo, Amy, are you joining us for dinner too?" What a coincidence. Leo stiffened, hesitated for a moment before turning around, seeming reluctant to face me. Eventually, he muttered, "Let's go. Let's talk about this at home." Leo and Amy left, but not before I told Amy, "You don't need to come to my studio anymore. Being a third party seems to suit you better than painting. Keep up the good work." Leo came back home more than an hour later. "Why did it take so long to calm Amy down?" "Let's get a divorce, Emily. You've seen it for yourself. I'm with Amy now. She's attentive and admires me, right?" I cut him off. "She definitely admires you, doesn't she?" "Leo couldn't find the attention you wanted from me, so you found someone else, right?" "Stop making baseless accusations, Emily." Leo got furious and glared at me, clenching his fists. "Oh, feeling embarrassed, huh? Have I hit a sore spot? Finally patched up your fragile ego. Don't play innocent. I must have been blind. I thought you were different from those other men." "Leo, shut up." Leo strode towards me, his face red with anger. Then suddenly he lunged at me. "Emily, don't push me too far." A resounding slap landed on my face. "How dare you hit me? Have you forgotten what I'm capable of?" I grabbed Leo's arm, swiftly threw him over my shoulder, and pinned him down. "Had enough. The third party gave you more attention than I did, didn't she? Forgot I'm a black belt in Taekwondo." Whether it was anger at being slapped unawares, or the accumulated grievances from the past 3 years, I'm not sure. By the time I regained my composure, Leo's face had swollen like a pig's head. He struggled and shouted, "Wait until my mother comes. I'll have her beat you to death." "Stop it. Help. She's killing me." At such a moment, he was still calling for his mother. It made me wonder how I ever ended up with such a cowardly man. And then his mother actually arrived. As soon as she came in, she started wailing, "My son isn't dead yet. Why are you crying so much?" She paused as I finished speaking, then threatened, "How dare you curse my son? I'll tear your mouth out. Care to try?" I challenged, "I want to see if you can take a beating better than your son." Before his mother could react, Leo shouted at me, "We are getting a divorce. I want a divorce from you." His mother started yelling on the phone, and it took more than 2 hours for all the relatives to arrive as summoned. Leo and his mother had the nerve to claim that I couldn't conceive. Isn't that laughable? After Leo's mom said I couldn't conceive, Leo's face turned red, and he couldn't look me in the eye. I asked, "Is it me who can't conceive, Leo? Did you say that to your mom?" "Auntie, it's Leo who's the problem. We haven't slept together for over half a year. Don't you know that? Does Amy know? Are you two just playing innocent love over there?" Everyone in the room was stunned. Only Leo and his mother looked like they were about to explode, but didn't dare to approach. Finally, this ridiculous show came to an end. Leo moved out of the house. Before leaving, he told me he would file for divorce in a few days. My parents were just relieved that I escaped from a bad situation. Seeing me down, they suggested we go on a trip. Turns out, a change of scenery can really help one relax. We had a blast traveling for almost a month, and the clouds of the marriage crisis almost dissipated. However, on the first day back home, I received a court summons. Leo was suing me for adultery, during the marriage, and demanding that I leave with nothing. I didn't know where Leo found the photos. They showed a customer, who came from out of town to buy a painting, entering the hotel lobby with me. We were walking side by side, and when I stumbled on the stairs, the customer reached out to help me. Leo managed to capture a photo that looked very intimate, as if the customer was hugging me as we entered the hotel together. I called Leo, "Were you following me? Taking pictures secretly? What were you thinking? You've been tracking me for over a year." Leo calmly replied over the phone, "If I didn't follow you, how would I know you were sneaking around behind my back to book a hotel room with someone else? If I didn't care about your money and willing to spend it, do you think I would tolerate all this silently?" I hung up with a loud smack. I didn't need to explain anything to Leo. This despicable man was willing to endure suspicions of his wife for over a year, and still pretended everything was normal, just to make more money. I contacted a lawyer and, after negotiating with the hotel, obtained CCTV footage of the hotel lobby and the first-floor restaurant on that day. With the evidence in hand, I countersued Leo for adultery during the marriage, demanding he leave with nothing. This got Leo worried. "Emily, I thought you slept with that customer. Since the misunderstanding is cleared now, let's part amicably. I don't want much of the property. Let's just split it evenly. Will you sell the villa for cash to give me half? Or will you move out, and I'll give you money? Forget the car, you don't use it much. Also, do you have around $200,000 in USD? Just transfer me $80,000 directly." I couldn't help but laugh at Leo's shameless attitude. "House, car, cash? You have the audacity to say anything with that straight face of yours. I won't give you anything. I'll burn even your underwear." I returned to the villa, quickly changed the locks, and threw all of Leo's clothes into the donation bin, leaving only a few pairs of underwear, which I set on fire and filmed. I sent the video to Leo, saying, "These are the only pieces left. Since it's inconvenient to return them to you, I'll burn them for you." Then I hired a private detective to gather evidence of his affair with Amy. The truth was shocking. Leo and Amy had been together before I married him. I was deceived for these 3 years, like a joke. The private detective informed me that Leo had always been with Amy, but due to Amy's poor family background, Leo's mom didn't agree. When they were desperate, I, a big sucker, fell into their trap. After calculating, Leo and Amy decided to marry me, grab both my assets, and even my parents, then divorce me immediately to marry Amy. Throughout the whole scheme, Leo's mother was in on it, while I was left in the dark, happily thinking I had found true love. Amy's visits to my art studio were just to monitor Leo and me, reporting my every move to him. That's how Leo managed to capture the picture of me entering the hotel with a customer. These 3 people treated me and my family like fools, playing us in the palm of their hands. And just before the divorce, they tried to smear me by claiming I couldn't conceive. That's unforgivable. I won't give up with you all. The court ruled in my favor. Leo was left with nothing, but my ex-mother-in-law came to my studio and caused a scene. "You wicked woman, you wasted my son's 3 years and left him with nothing. Shameless, give us back the money." She glared at me as if I were some unforgivable sinner, before kicking over 2 of my paintings at the door. It was a fierce and proud stance, berating me with arms akimbo. I walked out calmly, surveying the mess and the dumbfounded students. "Let me introduce you to someone, my ex-mother-in-law. Now she's Amy's mother-in-law. Everyone, say hello." She paused. "I am not that girl's mother-in-law. Stop talking nonsense. Furthermore, the court has ruled. Leo and I are divorced. By coming here to cause trouble, do you think my life has been too comfortable? Or do you think I'm an easy target? I need you all as witnesses. I didn't hit her, nor did I insult her. Whatever she's up to, it's none of my business. Call the police. Since you came here to make a scene, I won't argue with you. First, reimburse the cost of these 2 paintings. What's the value of these 2 pieces of paper? Don't try to intimidate my wife. If you have the guts, report me to the police. Let me see if the cops can catch me." At the police station, Leo turned pale. "Mom, why did you mess with her paintings? How much can 2 worthless paintings be worth? I kicked them. At my age, what can they do to me?" Unfortunately, the police didn't buy it. Based on Emily's usual selling prices, the total value of the 2 paintings was $68,000. Ms. Emily now accepts full compensation. "Leo, once you pay up, Emily can withdraw the lawsuit. Otherwise, legal proceedings will follow." $68,000. 2 pieces of paper worth $68,000. Don't take advantage of my age and ignorance. "I won't pay, Emily. What can you do to me?" Speaking, then suddenly lying on the ground in the police station. "I can't breathe. My heart hurts. These cops and Emily are partners in deceiving and scamming people." "Mom, don't talk nonsense. Get up first." Leo looked at the police officer's stern face and quickly tried to help his mother up. Don't cause a scene, Mom, you should go back. I'll talk to them, I said with a smile. Sorry, I just couldn't help it. You two thought you were just out for a stroll and could leave whenever you wanted. The police officer, helpless, glanced at me and turned back to Leo and his mom. The matter is not resolved yet. The parties involved cannot leave. My heart can't take it anymore, you scumbag. Do you want to kill both of us? Leo's mom shouted, as Leo and his mom froze in place, unsure of what to do. Just as Leo's mom was about to speak, her face turned pale. She clutched her chest, collapsed to the ground, beads of sweat dripping down, unable to speak. Mom, what's wrong with you? Call an ambulance. It seemed this time it wasn't an act. At the hospital, Leo's mom was rushed into the emergency room for a heart condition. The doctor, with a serious expression, issued a critical condition notice. Leo's hands trembled as he signed the notice in a panic. His face was pale with distress. It's all because of you. If not for you, my mom wouldn't be like this. Leo, you're really good at shifting blame. How does your mother's condition have anything to do with me? You're the one who cheated, lied about marriage, and bullied people. She started the trouble, cursed me, faked an illness on the ground. Did I say anything? Did I curse her? With the police as witnesses, don't you dare accuse me again. Or have you brainwashed the victim into thinking they're guilty? Leo had nothing to say, just staring at me with bitter resentment. His mom didn't die, but was left paralyzed, spending the rest of her life bedridden. Because of her paralysis, the debt she owed me couldn't be settled due to her inability to communicate. She had an old house worth $500,000 that had to be forcibly auctioned off. After the forced auction, the money came into my account. I looked at the notification on my phone with a smirk. Despite the discount, it was still satisfying to see that vindictive old woman lose her house. To celebrate, I specially went to visit my ex-mother-in-law. Amy was unexpectedly there too. Aunt, thank you for liking my paintings. I had to sell the house to buy them, and even though they were damaged, I've repaired them so they can be hung in your hospital room. A whole house for a set of paintings, after all. Amy, you've really suffered. You'll have to take care of your paralyzed mother for the rest of your life. I smiled at Amy. Amy, unwilling to back down, spoke up. Don't get too arrogant. Leo never loved you. If it wasn't for your money, he wouldn't have chosen you. He said sleeping with you every day made him feel sick. Sick? If anyone's sick, it must be because of me, right? Do you love your Leo that much? Having an affair is usually thrilling for a mistress. What about you? I noticed Leo had just arrived at the door and said, but, Amy, you don't look too good. Are you pregnant? Leo, is the child yours? Amy froze, looking completely lost. Leo's face turned pale, his fists clenched tightly, his voice low and menacing. Amy, are you pregnant? Amy was indeed pregnant. This information came from my private detective. After learning about this, the children in the studio were outraged for me. One little girl even told me in secret, Emily, I saw a man picking up Amy. I saw them at the mall last time. Dressed up like a playboy, driving a Mercedes. Looks rich, but ugly and old. After hearing this, I had my private detective investigate. Surprise, surprise, Amy was over 2 months pregnant. I was so happy with this news that I treated all the students from the studio to a big meal that day. Leo, you're truly lucky, becoming a father without even trying. When Leo learned about the pregnancy in the hospital that day, he didn't believe it. He dragged Amy for a checkup. Upon seeing the results, he stood there in shock. His voice trembling, he asked Amy, whose child is this? Amy bit her lip, refusing to meet his gaze. I couldn't hold back my laughter anymore. With a chuckle, I said, well, it's definitely not yours. Don't you know what you've been up to? Leo's pupils contracted, his face twisted in anger as he dragged Amy downstairs. Later, I heard from the students at the studio that Leo had caused Amy to have an abortion, leaving blood all over the floor. Amy's sugar daddy was displeased. He already had a family and wanted a son, so he planned to use Leo as a pawn to raise his own son with Amy, keeping their relationship intact and secret from his wife, while also gaining another child. Despite all the planning, none of them expected Leo to act so impulsively. Since the fire was already burning, I decided to add fuel to it. After the altercation, Leo went into hiding, and the police issued a warrant for his arrest on charges of deliberate harm. Meanwhile, during her recovery period, I arranged to meet with someone, Wendy, Amy's boss's wife. It was a coincidence that Wendy turned out to be one of my old customers. She had bought several paintings from me in just 5 minutes, without discussing the price, when her company was opening and needed some artwork. Her husband, who came to collect the paintings, seemed to hit it off with Amy. In the cafe, before I could say a word, Wendy spoke up. I know what you want to say, Emily. I'm not clueless about what my husband has been up to. I've been too busy lately, with the company going public, I had no time to deal with him. Emily, how did you find out? Do you need something from me in return for this information? Or is there something I can help you with? She was indeed a businesswoman. There's nothing to exchange, Wendy. It's just that your husband had an affair, the same as my husband. I recounted the whole story to Wendy. Nick was planning on having another child behind my back to fight for my daughter's inheritance. I just realized that all of Nick's wealth was built up by Wendy. Nick is just a useless man, dissatisfied with having a daughter, and Wendy didn't want to have more children. That's when he came up with this despicable plan to secure a share of Wendy's wealth for the future son. Emily, I won't let them get away with this, not for anything else, just for my daughter. How dare he, the father of my child, be so wary and contemptuous? He doesn't deserve to be a father. After everyone left, I returned home alone, the empty villa making me feel inexplicably desolate. I once wanted a child too. Seeing other families' little babies calling out mom in their soft and squishy voices melted my heart. But Leo had health issues, and I truly loved him at the time, and also genuinely intended not to have children. To protect his self-esteem, I always told others that we wanted to be child-free. Why does genuine love always get betrayed? I don't know, and I don't want to delve into it. Just when I thought everything was over, Leo suddenly reappeared. I suddenly received an email with the subject "A surprise." When I opened it, I saw a picture of me lying on the bed. In the photo, my eyes were closed, clearly asleep, and the bed in the background was mine. There was a choker with a bell around my neck. A fluffy foxtail cosplay extended behind my butt. The pose looked seductive and alluring, but I never bought these things, let alone worn them, so I had no clue what was happening in the photo. I felt chills all over, my breath unstable. It was Leo, this beast. I thought he had just lost his moral compass, but I never imagined he would stoop so low. Wiping away my tears fiercely, without a moment of hesitation, I immediately dialed the police. Leo was on the run, and the police preliminarily determined that the email was sent by Leo, but for some reason, they couldn't trace his IP address. Emily, it might take some time for the authorities to crack his IP address. If you continue to receive such emails, please inform us promptly, and we will catch him as soon as possible. Furthermore, you must pay attention to your personal safety, as the suspect viciously attacked Amy, and she was in a critical condition for quite some time. The suspect might still be very aggressive. If you notice anything unusual, please contact us immediately. We have stationed people around your house and the suspect's mother's nursing home, so just go about your normal activities. For the next 3 days after that day, I received an email with the title "Surprise" every day, containing similar photos without exception. I don't sleep that heavily, and suddenly I remembered that Leo would occasionally make me a cup of warm milk before bed, telling me it's good for sleep. He must have put sleeping pills in the milk. Leo, if you want to play, I'll play with you. Not only was I not afraid, but I also started to look forward to Leo coming to find me, eager to teach him a lesson in person. On the 5th day, no new emails arrived. It's almost over. Today should be the day. The art class ended early today, and I closed the art studio, but didn't lock it. With police monitoring my home, if Leo wanted to find me, he would come to the art studio. As night fell, the art studio was so quiet that you could almost hear a pin drop. I sat on a chair in the art studio, quietly facing a painting. The door creaked open gently. You finally came. You were waiting for me. It's not a question, it's a statement. I knew he would come. He knew I was waiting. Leo looked much older, his beard long, his hair messy. His clothes were dirty, and he looked disheveled. In my memory, Leo had always been neat, his suits forever crisp, his hair always clean and sharp. It was this appearance that attracted me at the beginning, luring me into an abyss. Things have changed, and here we were again in the same room, but the scene was quite different. Are you here to kill me, ruin me, or have you come to apologize? Or are you just broke and still eyeing my money? I asked coldly, my face still fixed on the painting, not even glancing at him. You're still like this. I hate seeing you like this the most. Forever looking down on me, never giving me any respect. Who do you think you are? On what grounds? On what grounds? Leo shouted hoarsely, his face contorted. I glanced at him with a hint of pity. You feel wronged all these years, don't you? What do you want to say? Here's your chance, say it. You come from a privileged background. You've always looked down on me from the start. Your whole family looks down on me. I worked hard to get an education. I put in much more effort than others, and yet, I still have to work for you. There's never a chance for me to rise. Do you think I should be grateful to you for marrying you, providing a house and a car? The more you give me, the more I hate you. You've never regarded me as anything, never. You've always just handed things to me. What's the difference between me and a dog to you? People like you should go to hell. Done talking, I turned around calmly to face him. He stood there, tears streaming down his face, utterly pathetic. I know at your age, your thinking is fixed, and maybe I can't change your mind, but I still have to tell you. Leo gave a bitter smile and casually pulled out a chair to sit down, leaning back on the seat. I have never looked down on you. On the contrary, I have always taken great care to protect your self-esteem. When you gave me that 30-point diamond ring, I stopped wearing my 2-carat ring. You said my clothes were too expensive, and going out with me attracted too much attention. Since then, I have only bought things under $1,000. Even more, I bore the blame for not being able to have children for a whole 3 years. I won't go into detail about the past. I'll just tell you this. No one's wealth comes without effort, and no one can gain everything without working for it. Maybe some are born into privilege, but that doesn't make others ordinary. It's not that those from humble beginnings can't succeed. It's because you lack integrity. You try to take shortcuts to get things that don't belong to you. But everything in this world has a price tag. You always have to pay the consequences for your actions. You think I hurt you, but what about me? Who can make up for these past 3 years I have endured? I became emotional, and tears flowed uncontrollably. You and Amy treated me like a fool. Do you not feel any guilt? Leo's face turned pale, unable to argue, and frantically pulled out a dagger. My life has already been ruined by you. I have nothing left. Give me the money. I want 5 million. Either give me the money, or I'll plaster your photos all over the neighborhood. You poor Leo. You still think you can escape the law? Do you think that with money, you can live carefree? You will be a fugitive for life. No matter how much money you have, you will never have peace. Leo hesitated, then suddenly lunged at me. The dagger aimed straight for my heart. Then you can go to hell with me. In a split second, I dodged the blade and struck Leo's neck with my elbow. He winced in pain, barely grabbing the handle of the knife, eyes blazing like a demon from hell. I shuddered, realizing he was determined to go all out. He had a knife, and my attempts to evade failed as he cut my arm. I stared at the wound, blood dripping slowly, unable to overpower a cold weapon bare-handed, especially against Leo's deadly intent. Leo, don't act recklessly. You still have a chance. I can give you whatever you want. I can also persuade Amy to drop the charges against you. You can have a good life, with a house, a car. Leo, trust me. I've loved you for 3 years. I can't bear to see you fall like this. My words disgusted even myself, but at this moment, survival required flexibility. Leo furrowed his brow, knife still aimed at me, but his stance began to waver. Leo, look at this painting. I've been looking at it before you arrived. It's a painting of when we first got married, when you took me to the beach. You held my hand, facing the sea, the sunset. I said I would love you forever. Do you remember? Leo's hand slowly dropped, eyes filling with tears. Then he closed his eyes, filled with regret. Just as the situation seemed to ease, sirens suddenly blared. You called the police. You deceitful woman. I'll kill you. Charging towards me. At the critical moment, a figure dashed in through the doorway. A knife plunged into Leo's back. Leo, immersed in anger, turned back in disbelief. It was Amy. Amy looked frantic, her hair disheveled, tears streaming down her waxen face. Leo, I can't bear children anymore. Nick doesn't want me either. Everything I have become is because of you. Since you can't have it, you won't let me either. I can't live like this. I've been waiting for you for so long, and I finally got you. Then she forcefully pulled out the knife. Blood splattered instantly. Leo's eyes widened in shock as he staggered back, grappling with Amy. Police rushed in, restraining them, leaving me still trembling. Despite some mental preparation, Leo's extreme viciousness and Amy's sudden appearance unnerved me. Leo was taken to the emergency room, his condition looking grim. Amy's erratic behavior led to a psychiatric evaluation. I cleaned and bandaged wounds at the hospital. The 3 of them, tangled in a complicated web, none left unscathed. Leo didn't die. His knife wound had affected his liver, causing massive bleeding. He fell into shock due to oxygen deprivation to the brain, becoming a vegetable. He'd spend the rest of his life lying unconscious on life support in a hospital bed. Wendy kicked Nick out without a penny. Nick, left with nothing, blamed Amy for everything. He not only ignored her, but also took back all the luxury gifts he had given her to sell. Amy, having just experienced a miscarriage and severe bleeding, emotionally shattered and betrayed by Nick, ended up with nothing. Unable to afford hospital bills, she returned home before fully recovering, lacking proper care, and contracting an infection, rendering her unable to have children for life. Driven mad, She tried to kill Leo after learning the truth. Hearing all of this, I smirked. Evildoers will eventually face their reckoning. 6 months later, the art studio thrived, with more students and business booming. Without the burden of marriage, I found solace in work I loved. My parents had hinted at finding me a new partner, but I insisted on going with the flow. I still believe in love, but for now, I choose to focus on myself. When the time is right, I'll meet someone on equal footing at the peak. Everyone has sunshine in their life, as long as you believe.